Don't know me, my name is Lori O'Neill. I'm part of the team here at our Keller Williams office, and I really enjoy the luxury committee and community that we have here, and we are obviously trying to expand. I've been with this office for, I think it's 6 years now, licensed agent for 7, and have just been, focused on my business and looking to grow year after year after year, which this office has absolutely afforded me that opportunity to do so. Today is a mastermind about luxury and all things luxury, and that will be the topic. We have some great guests today that I'm going to go ahead and introduce, and if they could come up front, and I am going to quiz them. So first we have Joanne Watkins, and Joanne was born in NYC, but now is a 30-year resident in New Jersey. She also began her real estate career over 7 years ago. And what I really like about her, one note in her bio is that she was a luxury marketer for Mercedes-Benz. So we know that Joanne brings a lot to the table when she's servicing her luxury clients. Her love of colors, I love your colors in your headshot, by the way. And just on a personal note, Joanne and I met during a transaction. And so one of the things I want to highlight is the importance of the relationship with agents, even if they're not KW agents. But the fact that we were from the same culture and with a win-win attitude really made the transaction smooth and seamless. So welcome, Joanne Watkins.
Thank you so much.
She's from our North Jersey office in Maplewood. So thank you, Joanne, for joining us. Really appreciate that. And then next we have is Jen Drahan, who is a Texan. She's on our Zoom call, now resides in Florida. And her special niche is equestrian properties. So if any of you don't know about the whole equestrian world, Deloitte & Touche did a study on the equestrian industry. And there are states that are ranked with the economic impact of horses and the number of horses, et cetera. So California, Texas, and Florida are your top 3 states. Jersey's number 9. So there is an absolute industry here for the equestrian world. And many of the equestrians, the hunter, jumpers, and dressage, which is a variety of disciplines, go to Florida and buy beautiful ranches and equestrian centers down in Florida. So Jen Drahan would be your point of contact for that. You need to do a referral. And thank you, Jen, for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Jen and I know each other from Matt's coaching. So we've bonded, we share best practices, and have our connection that way. And we've been, exchanging ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Bill DeVore, who hails from North Carolina, Asheville to be exact, and his special interest is in golf. But what he brings to the table not only is a golf niche, he was also part of a high-end private clubs where he has designed his client experience after that experience, utilizing that experience, but also the Ritz-Carlton and the One Thing. So Bill set his sights on the luxury market in his area and has gone after it and achieved it, and he is a top producer. The other thing, Bill, is our the ALC regional for the Carolinas, I believe. Is that correct, Bill?
Yeah, the regional ambassador for North and South Carolina.
So we're going to tap into that in a moment because our own regional, unfortunately, was unable to make it today. But Bill, thank you very much for joining us. And Bill and I know each other because we co-hosted this ALC leadership meeting across the United States where Brady would come and attend and give us updates about what's going on in KW luxury world. So thank you. That's how Bill and I connected. We also have one of our very own, which is Steve Zayakis. Yes, Steve. Welcome, Steve. So Steve, I think, is one of those individuals who's very just quiet and really, you really need to tap into Steve's knowledge. He is one of our top producers consistently in this office, he and his family, who have been in real estate lifelong and real estate investors. So you were just have just a gentle demeanor. And so please, if you need anything, you really need to tap into Steve, top producer of our office. Won numerous awards, always consistent in your performance. So thank you for being able to share your knowledge today. We always need to know where the money goes. So welcome, Pinky Shaw. Pinky Shaw is one of our go-to lenders. Please join us. And Pinky has a degree in pharmacology or pharmacy. So she and I have connected now because I spent 25 years in the pharma industry, but you went into your family's lending business. And what I liked about Pinky when you talk about a luxury experience is that I have a listing. Pinky called me to say, I just want you to know that this client is more than qualified. And that was a nice personal touch, and I didn't forget it. And I think that that goes a long way when you're, when you've got your team of people trying to get a sale done. It's those little touch points that really do help. Pinky, thank you very much for the desserts today. By the way, if you have a sweet tooth, there are beautiful desserts back there. So thank you again for joining us. We have the Vitalis here today, Sabrina and Carlo, and thank you very much for joining. If you're feeling a little happy today, it's because of the Prosecco. So we thought it was important to be able to speak to what goes on in a luxury listing when you have 5, 6, 10,000 square feet, when you have these special amenities such as basketball courts, $150,000 Desert Storm dehumidifier for your indoor pool, bowling alleys, teak wood in the pool, and those types of things. You really want your inspector to be able to come in and share his, expertise. 5, 6 zone air conditioning and cooling and heating zones and things like that. So it's important that you have the experts at the table, especially during the inspection, because it's part of the process, and it's also part of a luxury experience. Vitalis also reached out to me when I scheduled them for an inspection. Again, a nice personal touch, but they also reached out to the client because they work for the client, they don't work for us, at the end of the day. So I just thought was a very, very nice touch, and thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for the Prosecco today. Appreciate it. I would like to welcome, I would like to acknowledge Melissa from Keller Williams Title that everybody knows, was unable to make it today. However, she provided the lunch today that everybody is enjoying. So a special thank you to Melissa, and I'll have to reserve her questions for later and get those in writing so we can hold it to the fire. So today's themes, I just wanted to point out that the questions today are based on our 2 books, 2 of the famous books that we have, MREA and The One Thing. If you don't have copies, please grab yourself copies because I think you'll want to read them if you haven't already after today. We're also going to lean into the Keller Williams Luxury website. Lots of information there. Brady Sandel and team have actually put together a boatload of branding and branded materials that distinguish Keller Williams in that luxury space. So I think it's important that you know that, especially in the area, and I don't know if you're seeing it in your areas, Bill or Jen or Joanne. We see Coldwell Bankers putting out a luxury sign. Berkshire Hathaway has a luxury collection. We're seeing that advertised. Weikert now in our area, which is a more local brand, is putting out luxury signs. So it's important that we also compete on that same level and utilize the luxury branded and branding materials that are provided to us. So what's new in KW Luxury? Want to make sure that you receive the newsletter, so please sign up, check your spam. If you, for some reason, unsubscribe, go back and request to subscribe. Also, make sure that you visit the website and explore all of the materials available to you. And then, Bill, I don't know if you wanted to offer, since you are regional, anything new going on in KW Luxury today. I know we have the Luxury Symposium coming up in October. That's tied to the full Mastermind. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think so. They're growing KW Luxury. I think that's the best way to put it. So we have 3 levels to earning in, and then you can buy into KW Luxury as well. But level 1, let's say if everyone in this room is probably earned in, and if you're not, there's level 1 that gets you all of the marketing, all of the branding, that if your property qualifies, you can use that. Level 2 is you've earned in. And for luxury homes sold over the last 2 years. Your county threshold will be different from my county threshold. However, 4 that qualify will get you into level 2. And that gets you a whole host of things. I mean, there's additional resources, I think. So we're adding from the marketing to the additional resources. So there's a 30, 60, 90 playbook. There's additional, there's luxury designation and command. There is the language of real estate with the lore report that just came out. There's an updated one that you can go on KW Connect and find that under the luxury hub. And then there is luxury social media as well. So those are all good. And it qualifies you to go to Luxury Symposium. So that will be in October at the Biltmore Phoenix. So, and then level 3 is KW Luxury Pro. This is for the people who wanted more, and they wanted more experiences. They wanted a deeper and exclusive relationship and referral partner base directory as well, and additional learning opportunities. So there are 12 KW Luxury Pro speaker series that they go all over the United States. So they had one at Mega Camp that I went to. It was really good. But if you would like more information, I can't give you everything here in this 5 minutes, but go to kwluxurypro.com and you can see everything that you want to know.
Appreciate it. Is there anything I'll start with Bill, is there anything in particular that you're using that you lean into on that website as far as branding yourself luxury?
I just really lean in. So a lot of my business has been referral based. And the network of going to a mega camp and going to a family reunion and going to symposium and being in front of, at symposium, there was 300 of the top luxury agents there last year. So it's going and networking and seeing what the best are doing. And then I can bring it back, and I've been able to add that to my business. So it's the referral and the relationships that are really big for me.
Thank you for that. Jen, one thing for you?
The one thing on Luxury Pro or earned in luxury?
Well, the luxury altogether. I mean, it's a
all together. The all together luxury for me, I would say the events, because I am a face-to-face person. Like on my disc, I'm a super high I. So I always feel more comfortable being face-to-face with people. And especially if I have referred business to some people around the country or vice versa, those events are a great opportunity to take a moment in the Maps Lounge or get a coffee in the hotel lobby in the morning and just really cement your network avenues. And that is really what I go for at this point.
Okay, thank you.
I'm in my 11th year with KW. So just FYI, I'm in my 11th year with KW. So in the first couple of years I went to those, I was just like soaking in all of the information. And now it's information. And one of my main goals is to firm up friendships, relationships.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Joanne, I'll start with you. Anything in particular from our KW Luxury resources?
I use a lot of the social media templates because it's easy. They give you all the verbiage to use, the links. Why reinvent the wheel? If I've earned it, I've earned it. So they've made it very easy. So I use those a lot. And even some of the templates are just sold, just listed, coming soon. I've started using more of those now. Because a lot of times you get emails from all these companies. Do this, buy this, pay this. No, this is free. So
great. Steve, for you.
I think I agree too in terms of relationships. That's where I've gotten the best value from. Even I think just having a designation of luxury on the referral network and command, I think I've gotten probably more agents contacting me just from that alone.
Very nice.
So I think that's been helpful.
Okay. All right. Pinky, I'm going to go to you. Anything in the way of luxury? Do you ever have luxury type conversations? And I'll get to the loan piece in a minute, but when it comes to branding and things like that, anything that you might
necessarily market luxury per se,
Okay.
but I think, just generally, if we have a client who comes in that's looking in the luxury space, then we just tailor the conversation to luxury type of products and luxury it's a higher level. I'm going to say typically they're going to be a higher economic level, right? So the conversation is geared a little differently than if they weren't, is how we would do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, Carlo, sorry.
When we're talking with more luxury clients, I think it's more just a communication portion of it. So we're telling, we're very communicative to all of our clients, but when we see this type of client, very communicative, we don't know what we don't know, so we're trying to ask more questions, seeing what they have in terms of their home, and see how we can help them add more value to the transaction.
Thank you for that. All right, we are going to move on to, I'm going to touch the MREA book and kind of envelop it with the one thing. So from the 9 ways that real estate agents think, 2 are fundamental. It's think powered by a big why and think big goals and big models. What is, and I'm going to start with you, Steve, what is the one thing for you that keeps these 2 strong fundamentals in your forefront and motivating for you? Big why and big goals.
I say to have financial freedom to do things with people I love, family, friends, to have that extra time.
Okay.
That'd be the primary reason.
Joanne, for you. Any tips, techniques, that mindset we're looking for?
Well, a couple of things. One, like you said, it's, like they say, money may not buy you happiness, but it buys a whole lot of much things in life, and it's about experiences. So at this stage in my life, I'm in the empty nester stage. We just sent our 3rd child off to college, the other 2 out of college, and living independently, so it's a beautiful thing. So now we are just in that space of just enjoying life. And you always say you're on the back half now, and just doing more and spending more time, having just authentic experiences in life.
So as far as big why, my big reason why I show up every day driven is because of I want to make a difference in people's lives, right? And I know that I have the ability to do so and to hopefully inspire people to be the best versions of themselves and show up greater every day. From a goals perspective, the goal is driven by that, and similar to what you just said, it's about creating experiences for people that I love. And so being able to do that and create memories for everybody and to give more. They say money makes you more of what you already are, right? So you want the people that are doing good in the world to have more, quite frankly. So that's why I love supporting small businesses. I love supporting people that are already doing good things. And our mission is to give back more and to be able to donate and to give more back as well. And then if I could add to it, I think your question is also about like how, right? Any tricks and things. So one of the ways that I reinforce my mindset every day is I do have something that I call a declarations to thrive. So I've written out what I believe will help me succeed every day, right? And it has my mantras in life, it has like my inner beliefs, it has my goals, all of that. And I read that every morning, and I aim to read it every night, but truth be told, I'm not as good about reading it every night because that's what I want to fall asleep to, right? Reminding myself of good things rather than all the things going on in my head. So I read that a couple times a day and really reinforce why I'm showing up every day and why I want to show up the way that I do.
Oh, that's great. And what did you call that again?
My coach taught this to me, by the way, declarations to thrive.
Declarations to thrive.
Yeah. And I'm happy to share if anyone wants, if anyone wants to see it, I'm happy to share them with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. What a great idea. Thank you for that. Carlo, you're next.
How do I follow that?
First you do.
That's what she said. I mean, the one thing for my why, I try to create opportunity for all the people around me. But it's not only creating an opportunity for my team, but it's creating opportunities for what I'm doing for my family and for my wife, and there are different ways of life that I can do that because we do have the means to do that, and not just the means of monetary, but the means of doing what we do, and doing philanthropy, opening different areas of our business because we have our one business and be able to expand that and realizing that the people who are around you have so many different talents and trying to make those exude make them come out of them and help them achieve things. So that's really the why. And then kind of what Pinky said, I try to do the same thing. I try to make sure my mindset is at the end of the night is where it needs to be for the next day. And then just kind of go on from there.
Jen, I'm gonna go over to you.
Is that me?
Yes, please.
Okay. My big motivator why I do this. I do not have siblings. I do not have children. So beyond financial freedom for me is independence, because I don't want to fall through the cracks when I'm really old and not be able to still enjoy my best life. So I would like everything to be really set up. And then I would like to leave an endowment for maybe people that need, young girls probably, that need a boost into college prep, like most likely at Texas A&M, because that's where I graduated from. So I would like to leave an endowment that goes on long after I am gone. And as far as mindset around that and to show up every day, there are a few things. There are different things when I think about mindset, because I think negative mindset can show up in a lot of different ways in our lives, and we might not even recognize that that's what it is in the beginning. So something I really have to focus on for me is my how I address certain conversations and my tonality and my body language. So to keep me thinking in a very positive light, instead of like, oh, don't say it this way, or you can't say that to that person. I will listen to certain books in my car, and I'm listening to coactive coaching right now, which has helped me a lot. And it really just when we talk about change, the way you look at things and the things you look at change, like the whole conversation can change after I listen to like a 2-minute spiel on that book between appointments.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Bill.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I have had this conversation of, why I got into business. I've been in it for 4 years now. And I started here in Nashville. I mean, I got dropped off. I'm pretty open about my story. I was an
Fabulous story.
I was an everyday drinker and drug user. I did about 20 years worth of drinking in 5 or 6 years, and hit total rock bottom in Charlotte. Totaled my car going 110 miles an hour down the interstate and walked across traffic that night to end my life. I mean, that's where I got, and fell in the woods in a 35-foot ravine straight to the bottom. And then I went to jail for 7 days. If you've never been, I don't recommend going. Said I went to rehab for 30 days, and then I got dropped off in Asheville. I said I wasn't going back to Charlotte. And I got dropped off, and they said, "We don't think you're going to make it, but good luck." And they eat those words today. But I got into I had such a limited mindset. I started working at Chick-fil-A. I mean, I had to ride the bus. I mean, I didn't have a car. I didn't have a driver's license. I didn't have anything. And worked at Chick-fil-A. I had a real estate license. And then I got in with KW about a year later. So this is my 4th year in the business with them. I sold 12 homes that year without a car. The unlimited thinking and the unlimited mindset that comes with being a Keller Williams, there's nothing like it. And now today, I had to be really open and honest about that story early on. And now today, 6 months later, after I've sold a house, they said, I know you've sold our house, but can you help us? Our son has a drinking problem. Can you help with that too? I tell people all the time that I sell houses for fun, but I change lives for a living.
Fabulous.
There's the difference today of why I do what I do. I love selling houses. I love helping people. That's great. But going that next level, when someone's struggling and you can relate and you can say, I've been there and there is a way out, and let's go on this journey. So it all has come to the business of real estate, and as crazy as that may be, but that's what gets me up every day. And I am married and I do have a son. I have an 18-month-old and my wife doesn't have to work today. And that's my why, is that she can stay home with Drew, and that's important to me. So, and being debt free has been nice. So that is one thing that real estate has done. So, but being that resource for other people, when they feel like there's no hope, I'd say that's probably my big why today.
No, that's fabulous. Actually, a daily reminder of your wife and your son, you know, and in the remembrance of all those people, those lives that you're touching.
And she was my Uber driver when I didn't have a car. So it was hands down the most expensive Uber I ever took.
Oh, that's great.
Now, do you allow questions from the audience?
Yeah, we were gonna do that afterwards, but if you want to, if you have a question now, go ahead.
No, I wait.
Yeah, okay, I mean, we're flexible, so if you want. You wanna wait, or do you wanna ask?
I wait. Maybe I get the answer.
I think we covered, that sort of value proposition with everyone with your why, and, but it is a branding and marketing tool, and I love some of the taglines that we heard today. When we talk about, after we talk about mindset and motivation, the next thing is that when we talk about this whole scheduling or time blocking, once you've motivated yourself, you have to time block and schedule. Is that a best practice that you do, Carlo?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day. If I don't time block myself, I don't know what I would do. So from, like I said, the day before, or the night before, I am making sure that my schedule is set for what I need to do that next day.
Okay.
Because we have so many different things going on. If I don't do that, I'll be lost. From meeting with my growth team to meeting with my inspectors. We have a charity organization, Happy Smiles, time blocking stuff for that. Our handyman, so just making sure everything is time blocked. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to be my best person for my team. And that's really, what I try to be every day, is the best person that I can be.
So if you get derailed, how do you get yourself back on track? What's that go-to?
Be okay with it. Be okay with that. I'm
Okay.
gonna make a mistake, and then just retract, call whoever it was that either I was supposed to meet, or if it was something that I needed to do at that time, make time for it later or the next day. It'll happen.
Okay.
It's gonna happen. So just be okay with it.
Okay. Nikki, what about you?
Yeah.
Time blocking, scheduling?
Absolutely, yeah, and I echo everything that
Yeah.
Carlos said, and I guess what I'll add new that you didn't say already would be, as far as how do I get back on
How do you get
track?
back on track? I
Yeah.
think that's key.
I think that
Everybody has
is
their own
key.
tips and techniques.
Because it does happen, I mean, it happens. So, and I like your idea of be okay with it, because I'm sometimes not okay with it, and probably too hard on myself about it, so I'm gonna use
Right.
that, Carlos, so
Well,
thank you.
maybe I should be part of it.
But how I get back on track is those daily reading my affirmations and reading my declarations and reading that, because then it reminds me of my why. And I know that there's no way to accomplish that if I'm not being disciplined, right? So I know that I can't show up and serve the way that I want to if I'm not being. So that's why that daily reminder of reading my declarations to thrive really, really comes in handy and helps.
Okay, thank you. Steve, what about you?
Yeah, for time blocking, I mean, I always am very mindful about making sure that I schedule everything in advance, whether it be appointments, time block for lead generation, to have reminders that are very specific. If I've got to call a certain person, I'll add the phone number to my calendar. If I fall off track, I will also too get pretty frustrated about it. And I'll just remind myself that I'm not going to reach the goal if I don't really make this a priority. If I just become reactive to other things that are not as important, then I know that I'm not going to really reach that goal that I'm after. So, and of course, I'll just add whatever I didn't accomplish, either to the next day or spread it out over the next day.
Oh, okay, okay. Joanne, what about you?
Absolutely. I always say, if it's not on my calendar, chances are it's not gonna happen.
Oh, where do we hear that from? Is that from a book that we might know? Oh, my gosh.
Yes, there is. I mean, I have stuff coded from, you'll see reminder, drink water as a reminder,
Reminders in your calendar.
reminders in my calendar, and everything from drinking water to exercise to, personal time for me. That's very, very important to have balance in my life. So whether it's making time for going to get a massage or meeting a friend for lunch, like I have to have that throughout woven throughout my week, or by the end of the week, I'm like, yeah. So it's very important to me.
Okay. Bill, do you time block?
Oh, yes. If I didn't, it would be in chaos. But yeah, I still live by the paper calendar. I mean, I'm the,
Oh, wait, hold that up. That's the bold calendar, everyone. The bold calendar. We're using our tools here. Thank you.
and then I go by the GPS and the 411. You know, I live by, here's my 2024 plan that we already have in place.
Yeah.
Next year. And then a 411 of, okay, here's what needs to get done week 1, January 1. I don't leave until that's done. And then that's what keeps me on track too. And you know, some days, you know, it's just me. I don't have an assistant. I'm selling 30 to 40 homes a year by myself. I'm doing all the paperwork I'm doing, which it's tough. It is extremely difficult, along with a family and a kid and vacations and playing golf and, you know, keeping up with my sobriety too. You know, that's all that's my primary purpose today. So my schedule is long. So the very first thing, I'll break my anonymity. I attend AA regularly. So that is my one thing that goes on my calendar every week. I start by putting the meetings that I go to, and I go to 4 to 5. There's my magic number. And you can equate it to whatever you want to equate that to, you know, whatever's your mindset, whatever focuses you throughout the week. That's what gets me refocused, but that goes on the calendar first. Everything else, that is my one thing that makes everything else easier and necessary. And if I'm not doing that at a high level, this over here is not getting done at a high level. So the mindset is key, and keeping that time block. I get 25 contacts a day. You know, it's not in a specific time per se. Even though I'd love to get it done by noon. Sometimes I'm getting my last one at midnight before I have to text my coach and say, you know what, I did it. So that is important, but 25 contacts a day can net me 1 or 2 appointments. So that's what's important, but I do follow it. So it's super important.
Thank you, Bill. Jen.
I have been a time block person for a really long time, back when I was training horses also, because it's the same sort of demand on your time. So similar to what everyone else just said, my like non-negotiables go in first, which for me is my exercise, which happens the first thing every morning. Whether it's tennis or yoga or the gym, there's kind of a rotation that happens. Yes, any kind of self-care, chiropractic, doctor's appointments. I do a weekly manicure. I'm a chronic nail biter. That is the way I don't bite my hands to bloody nubs. I get a regular manicure. It takes 15 minutes on Friday mornings at 9 a.m. and I'm done. I used to go Apple Calendar. And then as I started growing my team and our team started growing, and it was important to know where everybody was and what they were doing when you were trying to schedule meetings that everyone could be at. We made a really painful transition to Google Calendar, and that was really uncomfortable for all of us because it was new and, you know, we thought it was glitchy and whatever. And now we live by it. And I don't know how any of our lives would run without checking that last thing at night, first thing in the morning, again at lunch, reminders, add deadlines, meetings, Zooms, appointments. It's all in there. And I'm sure Bill would agree with this. And what's really helpful with that also is when you lose track of some kind of record or something that you're looking for, we can refer back to the calendar. You have your paper one. We all have the time blocks we just talked about, and figure out who is that client? What was that address? How am I missing this? And get them back, get going, or get whatever you needed. Like the calendar can solve a lot of problems. And personally too, it's really helped with some of my medical history when I need it and can't find it. And you can look back and see what doctors you were at on what day.
So a couple of things I just wanted to point out. So there, and to Joanne's point, there are resources here. KW's already offering you that GPS and 411 are available. Those are printouts, they're templates, they're available for everyone to use. So those are some things I just want to highlight here when it comes to your time blocking, your planning, your business planning, you know, how to break it down into smaller chunks. So that's great. And it also speaks to sort of your systems. You know, we've heard here Google Calendar, we have paper calendars, your systems, you know, built built into all of that, I think is, really great. We're on lead generation. Yeah, Jen, go ahead.
One thing to add to all of that, and I think someone touched on it, but we didn't really go into it. Something that our team does when we're doing our business planning, which is like, we should be doing it right this minute, actually, is we put our vacations in. And I feel a little bit like I'm sounding like I do everything I want. And then if there's time, there's work. And that's not it. But the vacations go in and the vacations go in first for everyone. So we can make sure that there's always someone here to cover what needs to be covered and that everyone gets the family time that they need to get or whatever it is. That's important to us as rainmakers. I have a 50-50 rainmaker partner, and that is something that's part of our team culture.
Thank you so much, Jen. Appreciate that. I'm just going to stay on lead generation for a moment. And what is your primary lead generation tactic? What's your favorite lead generation tactic? Is it nurturing those referrals? Is it reaching out to past clients? Is it events? What is it for you, and why? What success have you seen from one lead generation tactic?
Are you asking me?
Yes, please. Yeah.
My phone. My phone. We have the wonderful fortune of having a virtual assistant that we hired this year, and it has really helped with my accountability and helped with my focus on calling who I'm supposed to be calling, because now I can say, can I please have a spreadsheet on past clients, on anyone who's given us their information from our mailer system that we do. All of our renters, anyone that we've ever helped rent in the past, anyone, like all of it, all of our referral realtors. And I can just say, this is who I'm calling today. And that is my biggest lead gen resource, honestly, is the help of my virtual assistant putting call lists together with me with places for like how many times I called, texted, voicemail, and notes.
Great. That's a tactic and a system right there. Bill, I'll go to you.
Yeah. So if you look at my GPS, it is the sphere and database is number one. I'm about 63% sphere and database. And that's been living 5 years in a new city. And then I'm about 37% agent to agent referrals. And we can that's more of the buyer and listing consultation, but I've created a surprise and delight program that sellers and buyers both get through 4 different gifts throughout the transaction. So that's been my lead gen source that creates raving fans coming back. And now this year we have added to the GPS to do the same thing for referral partners. So that's working on that now. But it's living in command. I mean, I live, whether you hate it or love it, I live in command. That's 255 contacts that I have in command that get loved on very much. And it's just really probably a 40 touch program that's in there. But that's important to me.
Great, thank you. And we're going to come back to the surprise and delight because I want to tie in Brady's.
Yep, absolutely.
Carlo, for you.
For us, you guys are the ones, the agents are the ones that we're trying to get our business on. So for us, it's more face-to-face contact. For our growth team, that's how we try to bring in more business. Events is where we excel, and most of all is education. So we can provide you guys with education that you guys need, that you don't know you need. That's where we're going to really lead gen and get our business from, is that trust and that communication. And then follow up. Yeah, I'd say that's probably the most important, is the follow up.
Great. Nikki, how about you?
I would say our focus is on delivering an experience that is referable. So we really focus on making sure that every client is super well served from the beginning, and that they want to, and we tell them from the beginning, I want you to be a raving fan so that you want to go tell other people about us. And then if we do that for the client, then the referral partners are happy, right? At least the ones that we want to work with. And that's what they want, is they want to look good in the eyes of their clients because they referred somebody who's so awesome. So then they want to refer more. So it's really focusing on delivering a referable experience. And then we do the phone calls, like Jen said, to our past clients, to our partners, And then all that engagement with focusing on the people who have already loved on us and who have already trusted us, and really just continuing to nurture that well, if you will. And then social media is the other big thing, is education, as Carlos said, is really our focus, is we educate, you know, everyone that is willing and wanting to be educated. And so the social media helps with the conversion, not that I'm looking for new clients from it, although I just closed my first Alabama deal because they saw a video on social media. But you know, so that's not my goal. My goal is that if you refer somebody to me, they look at my social media and they say, oh wow, this is the kind of person I want to work with. They know me and they've screened me before I ever had a conversation with them. So if they like what they see, they'll come work with us. So it helps with that. So.
And you're big on video too on social media.
Yes. Yeah, highly recommend video if you're not doing it.
Steve, you, what are your?
I agree with Peggy too about giving a great experience to the customer, because that's really what's going to get you your repeat business and referrals from your friends, family, and coworkers. Because I mean, of course, you still have to stay in touch with them too. But if you don't have that good experience as a base, then even if you follow with them later on, they're not going to refer you business. So I definitely believe in that too. I've been focusing on over the last few years on more following up with the past client, staying in touch, because of course, if you don't, even if they had a great experience with you, they're going to forget about you if you're not calling them, if you're not sending them a text message, maybe something related to the holidays, your birthday, your home anniversary. So, and I've, if it's more of your best past clients of getting you a lot of referrals and a lot of repeat business, you have the best rapport with, those you might want to focus on going out for coffee or grabbing lunch. One time I bought about like a dozen tiramisu frozen from Costco, and I delivered those to a couple past clients. That's a way to stay in touch.
So I would say probably 99% of my business is all referrals. With social media, I do it because I know I have a social media presence. But I'm not expecting a luxury price point buyer to come from that. So that's the social media part of it. In terms of touch points, I am always birthdays, anniversaries, kids' birthdays. So when clients fill out that CCO, when you get the name, the age of the kid, you have their birth date, I write it all down. So as a result of that, I've been invited to the good and the bad events in clients' lives. From a client of mine, when we first met at an open house, her parents were there, she and her sister. I didn't know what the family dynamic was at the time. And they walked in and we just connected, and the mom kind of nudged her and she was like, okay. So, and after the closing, she said to me, I have to tell you, we've been to so many open houses over the past year and a half. She said, and you were the only agent that ever treated us like we mattered. She said, because when we walked in there, she's like, I know, we look like a motley crew. She's like, I have on sneakers, she's like, they didn't know what was going on. And come to find out, she was general counsel for, a big firm in New Jersey. Her parents, so it was a multi-generational family. So she was looking to buy a larger home so that her parents could essentially have a home for the parents. So I say all that to say, the mom passed away and I was invited to the funeral. So that's why it's like the good and the bad. So I'm always reaching out to clients, whether it's picking up the phone. I'm not really big on email because I feel like it's, for my clients, I feel like they're busy. They're not looking at emails. They want personal touch. So they're also another thing that I don't really do, holiday stuff, because people celebrate all kinds of holidays, whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, and everything in between, or they don't. So I do Valentine's. So I get this special custom chocolate made from this small-owned business in town, woman-owned, and I order these beautiful chocolate, and I hand deliver them to clients. Sometimes I'm driving, 40 minutes each way, so it takes a lot of time. But I tell you, people love it.
I want to just kind of comment that, while we're talking about relationships with clients, and I think, Bill, when we talk about referrals, and you mentioned they're going to these events, but agent-to-agent relationships are really important. Joanne and I worked on a transaction that was impeccable. And to continue that relationship, knowing that the next time I may do a deal with her, I just know it's going to be a pleasant experience. That we're both looking out for our client, but it's a win-win. It's pleasant. It's not this. The egos were not there. It wasn't this one-upmanship. It was about let's try to find a solution, the win-win, to get to a mutual agreement. And it was just pleasant. So I just think that agent-to-agent relationships, are really important also. And that, and that's every day, when you're presenting an offer, when you feel the rejection of an offer, when you have to get the rejection of the offer, and so on. I think that just goes a long way. So, thank you everyone for this. Okay, we have to keep going. We have a lot to do. On your listing appointments, so we're moving along sort of in this transaction mindset. On your listing appointments, what's the one thing that you do? And Julie, I'll start with you and work around again. Is there one particular thing on a listing appointment you make sure that you do?
I always include past client testimonials.
Okay.
That's that, and also my list to sale price percentage, because now that's a big story to tell when everyone, so many sellers are like, everyone's getting offers over list price, and what's your average list to sale, list price to sale price. So I start including that as well.
Okay, Steve, what about you?
I'll try to, I'll definitely always let them know what I do differently, or what I think I do differently
Your
than most
value
agents.
proposition? Okay.
Yeah, in terms of marketing and just myself as an agent, how I work with all of my clients, and the experience that we'll have with me.
Okay. Vicky, when you meet with clients, what's the one thing you make sure you do?
Ask them questions, understand their goals. Yeah,
Lots
really,
of
that's it. And
questions.
listen. That's the one thing I make sure I do.
So it's interesting because one of the presenters at the luxury symposium, and it's about the words, and there's a book, and he talks about the person in control of a conversation is the one asking the questions.
Yeah.
So I know that's that will be a presenter, I think, at the luxury symposium in October, but and I'll get that book for you. I'm drawing a blank at the moment, but that's
Yeah, we start with a discovery call. We don't start with here's an application. Like, we start with a discovery call, and the point of it is to ask the questions.
nice.
Right.
Carla, what about you when you're meeting with clients?
When we're meeting with clients or inspections, expectations, when I get to an inspection, I want to set the expectation of what I'm going to be doing. The real estate agent, the buyers, kind of what's our part in this whole thing.
Mhm.
As long as we all know what everybody's doing, it's going to flow a lot easier, because we know who to ask the questions to, and also ask who's asking the questions as well. So I set expectations.
Those expectations. Bill, what about you? One thing that's important to you on a listing appointment.
I think there's a lot of things that equal up, but I agree with asking great questions. That is number one. Like the one question I'll ask: what do you need to hear from me today to know that I'm the agent for you? Or what's important to you about the agent that you hire to sell your home? Those types of questions. What do you need to hear from me today to know that I'm the agent for you? And then they will tell you. Then you shut up and listen, and they will tell you. And then you say, well, that's exactly why people hire me, because I do blah, 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 blah. So that's important. I go back and forth on whether to show up with a bunch of stuff. I think asking great questions builds the rapport. However, I do show up with a listing presentation in a bound book. And I do have the one thing book that I give as part of the surprise and delight. So those are the two things. So they get a book that says, I focus on my one thing, which is helping buyers and sellers. I hope that this book helps you focus on your one thing and live a super productive life. That's about all I'll bring. If I've heard you say Coldwell Banker, they have a whole box full of stuff. So it just depends on where your comfort level is and what you want. But coming from curiosity, finding out their motivation, and reminding them of it. I think that's important.
Jen, what about you?
Taking notes from Bill, it was so good.
I know, it was good. I hope everyone here is taking notes. This is being recorded, so if you want
Seeing
to.
like all kinds of notes for everyone.
There's paper inside that folder if you need a place to write, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am right there with Pinky and Bill asking questions and specifically finding out why is it important to sell? Where are they going? When do they need to be there? Why now? Really the whys and the whens, the whys and the whens, and what is their motivator? And that's really it. Just really trying to get to the motivation. And then like Bill, shut up and listen. And we all want to sell ourselves. But you're already in their house. And Lori, good point. Whoever asks the most, whoever's asking the questions is driving the conversation. And everybody wants to feel smart and right. Thank you, Bridget Stewart, MAPS coach. Everybody wants to feel smart and right. And that's something I tell myself throughout that entire appointment.
Great.
Like I want to leave there and they feel really smart and really right. And they talked a lot and they feel like they had the best appointment.
Okay, so I'm gonna flip this now. Jen, I'll start with you. What's one thing you do on the buyers? Obviously questions, but is there anything else on the buy side that you do?
For me,
Yeah.
okay. Anything on the buy side that I do? You know, I try to be, we talk about authentic and organic and surprise and delight. And I think there are some ways we can treat our buyers that are just very human, like what we would do for a friend. So I try to think of our buyers as our friends because usually we're putting them in our car or they're following us all over the place in their car with 2 kids in car seats and they're having to get them in and out. And it's exhausting, right? So I always try to have, we have Yeti coolers with our logos on them and we stock them and keep them in our car. And there are drinks and snacks for kids and adults and maybe some fidget things for kids that are getting cranky and it's hot and things like that. So on buyers, I try to preempt the appointment with comps on the properties that I think are going to really speak to them because the first question they're going to ask is, what do you think about this price? So information is power. So if you can say, you know, I thought you might ask that and the list of comps is in your inbox and here they are and you pull them up on your app and you can compare the comparable sales while they're in the house to actually compare what they're looking for. And then, you know, they're treated like an actual friend in the car and not someone you have to drive around. And then if it's an investor, because like we're talking about luxury, and I know we're focusing a lot on luxury properties. And I know that all of us have luxury clients that own a lot of non-luxury properties. And so, you know, there's a, like, what is luxury? Luxury is truly an experience, right? And it's our level of service and how we handle them. And I don't know about everyone's state. Florida is a transaction broker state. And we absolutely act as fiduciaries for our clients. And we try to show them that at every turn, whether it's a buyer or a seller. So if it's an investor buyer, obviously we're going to be really prepared with projections of cash flow, liability, overhead costs, things like that. Just really try to anticipate what their questions are going to be when you're out with them, when you're with the buyers. That is really how I put my information for that meeting together. I like to have folders for everyone with their properties. If it's a husband and wife, they each get one because them trying to share never works. Plus they all leave them in the houses. So you're going to need backups. And we like to highlight the important information like year built, price, original price, days on market, HOA fees, all of the things they really want to know in that whole sea of gibberish on a report are highlighted before that appointment.
Bill, what about you? Anything special on the buy side?
You know, I think it goes for both. But being that, along with what Jen said, but being that market expert, you know, when they're coming to you, whether most of mine are out of state, you know, I rarely work with a local. but being that market expert, they need to know, and they get sticker shock when they come here. Even people that are coming to buy $1 million home, $1 million doesn't get you a whole lot in Nashville, North Carolina. I actually went in one that was 1.1 million, and it reeked of mold. I mean, it was a total gut job. But it's in the Grove Park, you know, that's fancy living over there. So, but that's, they get sticker shock. But being that market expert, and I study, I add, that's part of the time block every week, is 30 minutes a day is spent on this zip code or this county, and knowing, so then when my coach just randomly quizzes me, you know, I know the facts. And that's the accountability piece that we have with one another, that it's Jeannie Osnes is my coach, and that's what I wanted her to hold me accountable to. So to be that market expert, and to be able to, that goes for buyers and sellers, but especially for buyers, because, you know, if I know that, you know, 96% is the average list to close price, and it's fluctuating up and down right now, but days on market's going up, home prices are still staying high. I mean, the average in Asheville is about 610 right now. So that doesn't get you, a whole lot. So, but being able to guide them and help them understand it. And, you know, North Carolina, we talked about different states, we have a due diligence process. So you have a due diligence fee that's non-refundable, that is paid when you go under contract. And you have an earnest money deposit that you can get back. You know, those are things that they just get haywire when they come here, because you don't have that in Florida. Do you, Jen? No, you don't.
No.
When you hear due diligence,
It
that's
is so
crazy.
easy to get out of a contract in Florida as a buyer.
You are losing the most. I had a $50,000 due diligence fee on a condo that I sold downtown Asheville.
Oh my gosh.
600,000. It went under contract at 750 with a $50,000 due diligence fee, and it closed.
Wow.
And that was even this year. That is navigating those. There's 1,000 homes for sale and 4,000 real estate agents. You know, you have to navigate what it's like right now.
I'm gonna I pause because I have two questions for you, but Steve, what is your buy side?
For buy side, it's really understanding what the customer is looking for in a house and their lifestyle needs, because especially, and of course, everyone has specific needs. Luxury, I just find they're more specific in what they want, where it's not just generally, I want to have at least, you know, 5 bedrooms and 3 full baths. There's might be some other features that they're looking for, or to maybe have a whole entire like in-law suite on the first floor if they have parents or in-laws visiting, and anything else. This way I'm not just, you know, sending them properties that are irrelevant. So really understand their needs and send them properties that are relevant to what they're looking for. Because they're very busy too, and they may be looking in the portals and looking at properties that I email them, but they may not be as proactive as, you know, maybe someone looking in like a $4,000 range. You know, where they're on lunch break, looking on Zillow.
Sure.
If they're a business owner, they may not have that time longer, relying solely on you to handle the search for that.
Buy side.
Buyers, I always go through what it, like your must-haves, but then I also focus on, tell me the things that you absolutely do not want in the house. Because it's easy for people to say, for bedrooms, it has to have a pool, or it has to have hardwood floors, but what you may not know is they don't like split level homes, or they have a client I'm working with now, they absolutely hate Tudors. So like, don't ever show me a Tudor, they're dark, they're this, they're that. So focusing on what is important to them, but also focusing on just what they don't like or don't want, so that you're not wasting anyone's time.
I'm gonna, so we're in the thick of a transaction, and I'm gonna go first, we have to start with the money. So is there anything different in a mortgage or in your conversation in order to qualify luxury clients? What's trending today? Because what I'll hear is my financial advisors have to take a loan, they don't want to impact my portfolio, et cetera.
So there's a few different things, and if I could, I'm going to touch on one more thing about working with the buyers that you mentioned, which I think might be relevant. That so when I work with that initial discovery call that we do, I do set the stage, and I say this because as agents, they're not usually signing an agreement with you like they are on a listing, right? So they're not fully committed unless you're having them sign a buyer agreement. So one of the questions I ask up front in my discovery call is, or one of the things, statements I make is, you know, the purpose of this call is for you to see if we're a good fit and for us to see if we're a good fit for you. So for us to see if you're a good fit, that was the important part, right? Because I want them to know that I'm not desperate for their business, and I want them to be the right type of client for me. Because many times they see us as commission hungry salespeople, right? And they think that you're desperate for their business, and so they might go work with different agents. So I put that up right up front that, hey, look, you know, I want to make sure you're a good fit for my business as well. So I say that up front, and then after we do our pre-purchase consultation, I get their buy-in. I say, now that we've had these conversations, are you fully committed to having us be your lender all the way through closing? So I do ask those questions, and I say that because it may help you as you're having your conversations working with buyers, because I've unfortunately seen that happen.
It has happened. I've watched
Yeah.
it happen,
And it will, and it still
behind the
happens to me
scenes, and you're
sometimes
like,
too.
wait, I'm closing in 2 weeks and we're going through this process again.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it doesn't ever happen, but it minimizes it, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what I would say. Now, as far as luxury from a lending perspective, there's some different things that you typically have to look at. You know, we might have to look at like RSUs. They might have income that has that, which is not something that's standard restricted stock units, by the way, right? Sorry. And so that's something that many times people more have in the luxury because they have the higher income, but their income isn't all straight, right? So we might have to get a little more creative. And the other thing that we do is often they do have a financial advisor and a tax preparer. So we say, let's have a conversation with all the parties together. Because let's figure out, because their accountant might be telling them one thing, their financial advisor is telling them something. It's better, and then they're conflicted because we're giving them different messages. So we encourage a meeting with all of us together. I'm like, why don't we do a mastermind with all of us together? Let's just have a conversation and figure it out together, which you don't typically have happen with the, you know, first-time home buyers because they don't have all those parties already as part of their team. So just bringing in the team is what I would do, what I do differently when we have the luxury buyers.
Yeah, because I think that there's an assumption that these luxury price points are cash, and they're not. Look at an MLS and you do your analysis, 90% are conventional loans, depending on the market. I don't know if you've seen that in North Jersey, but they're not.
I think we're starting to see a lot more cash buyers now, historically than we have.
You are seeing it.
Absolutely.
So I think we're still in the vast majority are conventional here in Devon.
I don't want to say majority, but I would say before they were maybe 5% of the over $1 million. Now it's probably more like 20%. So that's increased significantly.
Now, in jumbo loans, I think for the sake of education, you know, what is a jumbo loan? Can you define that?
Oh, sure. So in Mercer County, above 726,200 is jumbo in Mercer County. If you're in Middlesex or some of the, I'm going to call it more northern counties, it goes all the way up to almost $1 million. And that's the size of the loan, not the price of the house. People often get confused on that, by the way. So if you're buying $1 million property, putting $500,000 down, it doesn't matter because you're at 500,000. So it's not the price of the home, it's the loan size that matters. But yeah, so Mercer County is lower than the counties a little further north of us.
And what does that do to the rate?
It depends, honestly. It depends on their circumstances, right? But what it does, the biggest thing that I say that's different is that the guidelines are stricter in a jumbo, right? So the guideline, we have more restrictions, we have more paperwork, we have more things to do on it. You know, on a conventional loan, you could do 5% down, for example. You go to jumbo, you do 5% down. It's a whole different ballgame, right? You could, you know, we have lower debt to income ratios on conventional than we do on jumbos. There's more paperwork required, there's more documentation. So it's a little bit, I say the guidelines have become stricter. The rate difference isn't what it used to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
There is a Central Jersey.
There is,
Right.
well, that's yes.
It's been voted on.
It's been voted on. The guidelines still aren't tied there though. It's too new.
Another thing tied to the lender is insurance. So, you know, we advise our clients where the lender will say you have to get insurance. It's usually prepaid for a year and then money's put in escrow, et cetera. That's usually traditional. In these bigger homes, some of these traditional Allstate and State Farm do not insure after $2.5 million. So where do you go? Sorry?
1.5.
Depends
I
on
think
the.
it depends,
on
but
the
yeah,
tax,
no,
yeah.
it's, so how do you advise those clients? I know where I've had to go, I've had to go to Chubb, to get insurance. I don't know, and I'll get to Florida in a minute, because I know insurance is a big deal in Florida, but, what are you doing? How are you advising clients there?
I can't say I've had too many issues, to be honest.
Do you send them to Chubb or do you send them to
Yeah, I send them to-
your preferred?
Yeah, I send them to folks and we haven't had issues for the most part, so. Yeah, but yeah, you just send them to the right people and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think, but it's key that it has to be the right people,
Right.
because, State Farm isn't. and also
Yeah,
they
you're
don't
right.
get
Those aren't
insurance,
people that
and
do
you'll
it.
find out, I can't get insurance, well, I'm not gonna get a loan. I'm like, hold on, you are, we just need to refer you somewhere else,
yeah.
so.
And I think that's the key, as you said, right? Having the right contacts that will be available, because they don't always know who to go to, but making sure you've built your team behind you to come support them
Mhm.
for what they need. I think that's the key.
And some of these homes, so you've got an indoor swimming pool. You have $150,000 Desert Storm dehumidifier because the wood in the ceiling's all teak and you have to keep that moisture level, et cetera, and the chlorine smell out of your house. So, you're insuring more than just, 10,000 square feet. There's so many other features and amenities in those properties. Horse farms are another, insurance and added value to the cost of a property. So it's important, I think, to recognize all that. The property's now being inspected, Carlo. What are your biggest challenges in some of these homes as you go into them?
Yeah, so when we're dealing with a luxury inspection, a luxury home, our first challenge is to figure out what's actually there, right? Because we want to know what's there. We're pricing a home, or price besides it, we're talking with the client on the phone. We're looking at listing, we're looking at pictures to try to figure out where the details on the property are not usually right. Sometimes we get to a house and there's something completely different than what we actually see on it, right? So that's one of our first challenges, actually knowing what's there. Sometimes we'll head out to the property. If it's a very large property and we can't get enough details to know what's there, we'll try to get to the property, take a walk around the property, so we know what we need to do, right? We know what team, right? So when you're dealing with a larger property, we're home inspectors, right? So we're generalists, right? We don't specialize in one particular area. We need to know a lot about it, right? So if we get into a luxury place and we have an elevator, we have only radiant floor, geothermal heating. We have heated driveways, heated patios, things of that nature. We have to know what type of people we need to bring in to make sure that the job is getting done right. We deal with stucco. We're licensed to do invasive stucco, right? So when we're doing invasive stucco, we have to know that we put aside. We just have to know that we have to put aside the right timing. So that's another issue that we come in with, is timing. Make sure that the realtors and the buyers and the sellers are aware of how much time this is actually going to take with all the amount of amenities that they may have. So I think those are the key points, just knowing what's actually there, the timing, and putting everybody on the same page of what's actually going to happen going forward. Because if you do have a lot of different amenities in the house and we have to bring in other people, there may be other contracts, there may be other monies that need to go other places. So we just have to make sure everybody's on the same page, and it starts with just knowing what's actually there.
The other name for stucco is EAFS, EFS, so you'll see that come up. It's good to have it inspected. It's just, way back when there's issues with it, we've come a long way from that, but it is just, good to know. And the other thing I like about Vitale is that it's one-stop shopping. So if, should there be a mold issue, they can conduct the test right then and there. The equipment comes with them, and it's not about waiting for another inspector to come in the door, 3 days later because you found, or tier 2, things like the chimneys. Get it done all at once. If you want your chimneys inspected, tell them, and it's all set up for you. So it's, same day, one-stop shopping, inspections are done all at once, and then you're able to analyze the house as a whole for, what the inspection results might be. Thank you for that. One of the things that Gary talks about is a learning mindset. So, Jen, I'm going to start with you. What do you do to keep learning?
I would say that I read, but I really started listening to books instead of reading. Some of the business books I have noted, like, because there are workbooks with them. So like this coactive coaching right now is one of them. So I would like to go back. I've noted certain chapters to go back, download the workbook with it and work through that. I try to make as many masterminds, regional things my region does, because I find that really helpful. Again, for the networking and knowing your fellow agents and who you want to be your referral partners in your business, and the regional knowledge and what's happening in the whole southern hemisphere, southern half of our state. I think it's really important, when we go back to the one thing, to really choose what your learning resources are going to be. Not that you're not open to everything, but it can be really overwhelming if you start saying yes to all the opportunities we have in this company. So I think you need to pick yours and time block them in your calendar and keep your promise to yourself to be there, whether it's a mastermind or you're doing mega camp digitally during COVID. Like, I blocked that time and did not set appointments and was not looking at my phone during Gary's vision speech. Like, I attended mega camp in my living room and was present for it. So I think whatever it is, how much or how little, really be present and don't be typing up contracts on your computer or your phone while you're trying to be learning and present with your fellow agents.
Jen, what's the book you're reading right now? What's one on your list?
Coactive Coaching, and it is by Henry and Karen Kimsey House. I'll put it in the chat. It's really written from a coach's point of view, but I think it is really easily applied to your everyday conversations with your vendors, if you have a team, with my family members, like when I talk to like parents, cousins, aunts, whatever. And it's easy, and I just throw it on in the car. If I've got 15 minutes to go somewhere, sometimes I'll put that on, and it just is a quick mindset change, and I get a little bit of growth right there. I'll put it in the chat. But that's what I'm reading right now.
Thanks, Jen.
Mhm.
Learning.
Yeah, I think it's one of the 6 personal perspectives, be learning based. So it's been an important part since I joined KW. I mean, I didn't know what I didn't know when I joined. And then I went to everything then. Now I'm very particular on who the instructor is for that class that I show up for. Like, I go to every Gene Rivers class that he teaches. I'm going to get something different every time. And so that's important. Business planning, we've got that coming up in our market center October 12th. So I'll be there for that. I teach Ignite for our market center. So I run the Ignite program on top of everything else that I do. So it's, I know how important that is for the agents to show up and be a part of that. I know what it was like for me. I've taken that 4 times. I'm 6 times bold. I drove 2 hours to Lake Norman to take bold once a week. So 2 hours there and 2 hours back because it wasn't in Asheville. So I know how important that is, and the instructor mattered. So, I know Tammy Young, she's my favorite bold coach. So that's important. I go to luxury symposium, that's surrounding, like what Jen said. I go to the events now for the experiences and the relationship building. That's what it's all about. I get to go and see Stacy Sauls. I met her a couple years ago, but she was sending me business before I'd met her. And then I got to finally meet her in person. So regional events, I will sometimes go to those, but you're right. Jen's right. You can get swallowed up by trying to do every class that KW can offer. I would get really intentional about who's teaching the class, because I think that matters a lot. And but being learning based is certainly an important part of this business.
What's the book you're reading now?
Oh boy, I don't have a whole lot of extra free time. However, Exactly What to Say by Phil Jones is on my night table. So he's the keynote speaker at Luxury Symposium this year. But it's so simple. I think if there's one thing I took away from Mega Camp this year, it was one phrase that a lady up on stage said, and she said, "This is what happens next." So oftentimes we forget to just say that little magic phrase, "This is what happens next," because we assume, because we've done it 50, 100 times, that they know what they're doing. They do not know what they're doing. And they have to be told, and this is the next step. This is what you can expect next. And then the one from Phil Jones is, this may not apply to you, but, we don't like the word but, and this may not apply to you, and blah, 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 blah. It really lightens the tension that comes with it. And then they're like, "Oh, what do you mean it doesn't apply to me?" Well, of course it does. So it's kind of a little play on words, but it does work. I said it when I was recruiting people to take Ignite, and I actually had 30 people show up because it didn't probably apply to them, but they set 29 appointments last week, and now it does apply to them. So, that's what's important, and getting people, but it's really short. I'm not a reader, so I'll listen to it, but I actually am reading this one because it's short and makes me feel good about myself that I can read at least 50 pages. So
It's a small book, and I don't think that's
yeah,
everyone.
very small, my kind of book.
Thanks, Bill. Carlo.
I watch TV.
I do that too, every once in a while.
I definitely read as well. I also belong to something like you guys do. It's called IEB. It's Inspector Empire Group Builder, I should say, and it's home inspectors from across the country. And we have masterminds yearly. We have weekly accountability groups. We have things that enhance. I'm learning from people that have already done. So I'm asking a lot of questions, and that's how I learn in my business and learn in life. Is just keep on asking questions and listen to a lot of podcasts of people that I admire and people that I want to be and people that I see out there doing the right things. So I do that.
So you read, so what's
I
on
do.
your list?
Book that I'm reading now is called Think Again. It's by
Okay.
Anne and Brett.
Yeah.
And it's good. It just kind of opens your mind to look at things again, look at things in a different way, ask more questions. And I do it with my kids as well. I kind of want them to be mythbusters, right? We kind of do that, what's actually true and what's not. Think again, it's not everything is not as it seems. Make sure you're asking the questions that, to get to the right place that you want to be.
Thank you. Stevie, I know in your bio you are coaching yourself, but you're also learning. So what's your go-to?
I'm a geek. I'm going to start with that. Okay. So I love learning. I don't know, it's a weird thing about me. But so I usually attend at least 2 industry conferences, non-COVID times, 2 industry conferences a year, 1 personal development type or self-development type thing a year. So that's like multi-day conferences. So I attend those a couple times a year. And then I read, I have a goal of reading 20 books a year. I've only got to 17, by the way, so I still haven't hit 20 yet.
I think it's
Still got time.
Yeah. No, I mean,
You are an avid reader.
yeah. I'm currently reading 10x is better than 2x, or it's easier than 2x. Sorry, 10x is easier than 2x. So I'm in the middle of reading that one. Audible, I'm listening to No Rules. So I'm listening to that. So, and then I spend at least 3 hours a day. I mean, a week. Sorry, not a day. 3 hours a week listening to some sort of webinar or something like that, podcast or something like that. And I have Google Alerts set up so that I can be I don't listen to the news or watch the news, but so I can know what's going on in my industry or our industries. So I have the Google Alerts, and I spend about 10 minutes a day in the morning trying to get through those.
And let me tell you, she is one person that I watch all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And she,
Thank you.
her execution on everything she puts her mind to is amazing. So,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, Steve.
I'm not reading a business book right now. It's more of a self-development one. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Joe Dispenza. So I just think it's always good to kind of reinforce, make sure you don't fall on track of having negative ways of thinking or habits. So it's very interesting. It really goes into neuroscience, how the brain works and everything else, and just a practical way to just have your mind set the right way that you want to fall back into old habits of thinking and doing things.
Continuous improvement. obviously.
Exactly. Yeah. It goes really like well with the one thing. It reinforces that.
Thank you. Joanne?
Interestingly enough, I'm also reading exactly what to say. It's such an easy read. So I encourage you all to go and buy it from your whatever bookstore you purchase from. And there's so much in that book that you can apply to your personal and professional life. It was, I read it and now I'm going back to like, okay, dog-eared some pages in there. So my thing is I'm a social person, so whether it's meeting people for lunch or breakfast or attending a mastermind with other agents outside of my market center, just to talk to people to see, what do you feel, what are you seeing, what are you experiencing, what's something interesting that you're learning now. I went to the city, Manhattan last week, and met with someone that I met at an event in February, and we just connected about so many different things. Granted, her market is Manhattan and Brooklyn, but there's elements of what she does there, because that's a whole different. I'm like, my God. People ask me, oh, you should get licensed in New York, and I'm like, no, thank you. You know what? You have to, they don't have lock boxes. You have to be there for every single showing. There's no way. It's a different market. I mean, it's one thing servicing your clients here. If someone doesn't want a lockbox and they want you to be there present for a showing, but can you imagine parading all through Manhattan to show them?
To show your listings to other agents.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm very much a connector. So.
I want to open it up to questions, so I'm just going to kind of just round this off with, we know that 2023 so far has been quite a challenging market, both on the buy side and the sell side, with dynamics of what's going on in our economic environment at the moment. So Jen, I'm going to start with you. What do you do for your downtime?
Downtime.
I was serious about it.
I attend seminars. I play tennis.
Are you still riding horses?
No, I play tennis. I don't ride horses anymore. I play tennis. I hang out with friends, and I love to travel. So one of my big whys is more travel, to pay for more travel with the same friends. And I'm fortunate enough to have a really good friend group that has young children. So I get to be like the honorary fun auntie and go on, spend family time with my friends. And it's really an amazing thing that I get to do. And so I would like to be able to do more of that. So more vacations with friends and tennis.
Okay, Bill, there's got to be some golf in there.
Yeah, again, I would say what downtime. However, I make it a point to at least 1 day, 2 days a week, I'm out of the office by like 1 o'clock, and then I'm heading back home like that. Like last Friday, I took a half day and then I went and hit golf balls. So yes, I did do that. And then it's probably hard to see, but there's what takes a lot of my there's what takes a lot of the time today. We went down, dropped him off at the grandparents on Saturday, and then we went, my wife and I went shopping in Charlotte. So, it's those experiences. We're going to New York City for Christmas. The other grandparents are watching Drew, and then we're going to fly to New York City for 3 days for just some downtime. So the traveling is important. The life by design. I would challenge you, if you haven't thought about it, what is it? What does that look like for you? My life by design, for many years, I just didn't want to be miserable anymore. I'm a little past that now. However, you have a different set of challenges today. What's important to you? I have the Life by Design forum. That's another tool that we talked about. I don't think we really talked about that one, but That's another tool that you have at your disposal. What's important to you? What do you want to do this year? And then you wrap your goals around that. So then you have someone that holds you accountable to what you want to do. But that's golf. I play, so that's part of my Legion as well, is I have members at clubs in Asheville. So I will go and say, let's pair me up with me, you, and 2 other people that I don't know. And then that's how I get to know people at Biltmore Forest. That's how I get to know people at the Cliffs at Walnut Cove. That's how I get to know all the people that I need to know. I'm still a PGA professional, so I can at least, we use that term loosely today. I don't play like I used to, but once a month doesn't cut it anymore. But that is a talking point. That's still a Legion source, the golf is. So golf, travel, taking a nap in the afternoon is really nice these days, especially without a screaming kid. You know, I have learned that to appreciate the silence for a little bit. But no, it is important to keep the, you know, what's your primary purpose in life? You know, it's not to just work. You know, what's important to you, and keep that primary purpose primary, and everything else will fall into place.
Thank you. Joanne, how about you?
Well, I started taking golf lessons.
Oh, we have another golfer.
Yeah. As I said before, my youngest just started the 2nd year of college. So I'm like, okay, business is kind of slow right now. Kind of what, you know, how can I start to fill my days with things again that bring me joy and about experiencing something new. So I've signed up for golf lessons and I'm loving it.
Steve, what about you?
Signed up for what?
Golf lessons.
Nice.
Usually my spare time, I'll spend time with my girlfriend. So before I would just always work, and since we got together, I've actually been traveling as often as I'd like to, which I hadn't before, just be consumed by business and hang out with family and friends here and there. So that's been great.
What was your last trip?
It's actually the last trip we went to Paris.
The travel is yours. Thank you. What about you?
Like Steve, I also love to travel, so there's always has to be something like to look forward to travel-wise. That's definitely my biggest passion. But other than that, it's also locally when I'm not traveling, is just anything physically active I love, and being outdoors. So I might be playing badminton with some people, you know, just because it's something to do, or pickleball. So anything like that, I'm happy with it, and that keeps me. And then being with friends and family. So yeah.
Carlo.
Same kind of thing. I love to travel. My kids take up a lot of my free time, which is perfectly fine with me, and I love every moment of it. For me, I've been taking piano lessons.
Oh,
I've never done that before. I've always wanted to try, so I've done that this past year. We're doing it once a week.
Piano, did you hear that? Yeah.
9 o'clock every Wednesday. So if you want to know where I am, then that's where I'm at. Yeah, other than that, golf I would love to, but it seems like the only golf I play now is just at outings, all the events. So
Okay, you're still getting out there, right?
yes. I did buy an indoor simulator, so maybe this winter, maybe I'll get some golf in.
Please tell us about your event, Carlo.
Oh, yes. So we do have an event next Thursday, September 28th for Happy Smiles. It's our Happy Smiles organization. So this year, we're donating to Breast Cancer Resource Center of Princeton. It's going to be at the Mountain View Golf Club. So if any of you guys play any golf, please come hang out. We have a dinner reception. We have about 105 golfers now. And if you don't know what Happy Smiles is our organization, and we primarily focus on kindness, right? We believe that one kind word, one kind act can truly change somebody's day or even life. So our whole premise is based on kindness, but we develop relationships with a lot of different organizations and try to raise money for them and try to help them in any way we can. So next Thursday is specifically for the Breast Cancer Resource Center of Princeton, and we have some amazing polls and prizes, and it's going to be a really fun day. So thank you.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to our colleagues here in the room, and let's entertain some questions. Do you want to start?
I'm happy to hear all this story of success. Me, as I was starting Asian, I was still scratching the mountain to get there. And I want to know what's the language you use when you meet a luxury client? What kind of language you use and to talk to them, what kind of question you ask, and how you reach them. This is for me, it's still hard to get my foot on the door, and I'm frustrated for keep trying.
Who wants to, go ahead,
Sure.
Joanne.
So I will say, I did not start out in the luxury space. Start with that. The first house that I sold, so my first year in real estate, I would say I had one rental. It was a $1,200 rental. I was like, oh, great, rental. Ooh. Second year, I had another rental and I sold two houses. The first house I sold was just under $1 million. And you couldn't tell me anything. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is going to be the first of many. And it was like, I didn't have any more transactions that year until, I shouldn't say that. I had one more and I was like 650. So I say that because I didn't start out as a luxury agent, but what I started to do was tap more into my network, realizing that, you know, my friends, my neighbors, you know, leveraging those relationships and putting myself out there more, letting people know that, hey, I'm a realtor, because it's not their job to remember that you sell real estate. You have
That's a
to
good point.
let
That's a
people
good
know. And I'm probably like you, and then I have a more calm and easygoing approach. I'm not the in your face, handing out my cards. I 100% respect agency relationships. And so you will never catch me at a friend's house who happens to be a realtor and they invite me to something. I'm not going to hand out my card to, so you never want to come across as being desperate, like somebody you said, where it's like you'll do anything and say anything just to get a client. Right? Just be yourself, and just know that it may take time for you to get into that, you know, luxury space, whatever that price point is in your market. So in my market center, luxury is just under $900,000. Now, fortunately, because of the post-pandemic world that we've lived in, selling $1 million homes has been very easy because of the price point that we're in. And it's like once you start selling one, it's like, oh wow, you know, is that all you do is sell $1 million homes? No, I don't. But I mean, it's great. But I think you also, for me, I don't want to just be branded as a luxury agent. It's great to have that on my business card, on my webpage, or all that good stuff. But you don't want to alienate the, you know, the $500,000 buyer who may feel like you're not accessible, or you don't want their business. I mean, I almost didn't get a client because she thought, and she said to me, there was a college friend of mine referred me to her, and she said, oh, you know, I can't afford you. So what do you mean you can't afford me? You're a buyer. It doesn't cost you anything to, you know, to work with me. And she's like, oh, no, I looked at your, you only sell $1 million homes. I said, no, that's not the case. So in just speaking with her, she almost was not going to do business with me because she thought that I would not want to work with her because in her mind, I only sold $1 million homes. And she thought that she had to pay me. So part of the buyer's process, your conversations with them, is educating them on what it means to work with someone as a buyer's agent. Because sometimes they're under the impression that they have to pay your commission. You know, so that was helpful.
I think you have a question.
Yeah, so Joanne, to your point, would you say that a lot of your business is like a third? Because I know a lot of luxury agents talk about not just having luxury market, but having, you know, listings that are under a luxury price point, buyers that are under, so a third. Would you say that you
Again, this
are intentional about that, or it just organically happens?
I think it organically happens. It's not like I'm specifically going after a certain price point. So no, it's very organic. I'm kind of a let the chips fall where they may kind of person. But again, it just happens that if someone's looking for, again, because it's a lot of referral based. So if I just sold, I had a client that I sold their house, think of COVID, it sold for I think I can't remember, it was like 950 or 975. They turned around and purchased a $2 million house. So that one transaction was almost $3 million. So something that they did as an same incentive. The client structured my commission in such a way, they said, listen, here's what the commission's gonna be, but if I get over a certain percent over ask, there's a bonus basically. And so when those offers came in, I looked at it and I was like, so again, I have no control over what offers come in, none of us do. But that was, so again, that particular client really taught me how to potentially structure commission. So.
More questions? Any other questions? Steve, I'm gonna ask you a question, because I know that you've been in the business for a long time, you're young, work with your mom. In terms of luxury, how have you both focused on that and brought that, because I think you've qualified it recently, right? So you've been kind of focused more on it probably in the last 18, 24 months than prior. So how did you and your mom get to this space now?
So with that, and same thing too, I've worked with really any buyer or seller who are serious and they're loyal. Loyalty, of course, is that's the most important thing, because we put a lot of effort. If the person is just working with multiple agents, then it's not going to be wasting their time. With it, over the years, just having for starting out, say, work with exactly anybody who's serious and loyal, and then you eventually start to just get more higher price transactions. You've got to, of course, focus on those areas too. So whether it be organically, or if you're doing advertising, you could farm a certain neighborhood that you want to target, a certain neighborhood that's close to where you live or where you currently live, if you live in a neighborhood or a town that does have a luxury market. Or if not, maybe go to the next town over that does have luxury homes, or you can see yourself working there. But and it's a big time commitment. It's going to be a big expense commitment too if you're going to farm it for a very long time to get a listing eventually from that. Through advertising as well, that was definitely helpful. And following up is definitely a big factor with past clients and with any lead that you get. If you sit at an open house that maybe it's not even your listing, but it's a luxury listing, and you're getting buyer leads from that, and you definitely want to follow those leads very diligently and try to have meaningful conversations with them and convert them, and then from there they can refer you to their friends and family and coworkers.
Thank you for sharing. And I had a question for Jen also. Jen, how do you do your equestrian listing presentations in comparison to, let's just say, a regular, put that in air quotes, listing presentation?
It's a good question.
Differently.
That's a good question. We're actually getting a new farm listing ready to bring on the market in a few weeks. Like, we're dealing with, pressure washing and resodding and painting and all the fun things, driveway re-gravel. And I was talking with an agent the other day, and we were talking about how hard he is working on this condo listing he has, that I think it's like $165,000, 55 plus condo listing up the street here. And he was talking about how much easier it was to sell his $8 million farm. And I would have to say that sometimes taking the farm listings, like going on those presentations, There are two different ways to do it. If you've already if you're already friendly with the sellers, or if this is a seller that's been referred to you that you've never met. So when it's referred to you and you've never met them, of course, you're way more formal and you come with your information and you're really asking them all of the questions and trying to get the information that you need. And I'm sorry, guys, I just realized my computer is going to die in a minute. So if I lose you. The one I went on last week, I helped those people buy that farm. Once I do any kind of transaction, even if we don't close, like even if I start in a relationship with people, they are now, I consider them in my sphere. They go in, especially if they're equestrian, where I'm running into them at different equestrian events. I've stayed in really close contact with those people. They called me and they're like, we're ready to sell the farm. How much? I mean, literally, that was it. I went out, we walked around the farm. She told me what she was doing to get it ready. We talked about pricing, and that's it. I'm sending her the paperwork. When we're competing against other realtors, like most sellers, if they don't know you, they'll tell you, like, we're just so you know, we're interviewing 3 and you're our second or third appointment or whatever it is. Then we really try to use Bill's word, like surprise and delight. Like if we're at the top of our game, we're dropping something off to them wherever they are, which is not that easy because in our market, they're not usually in town when they call us for that. So the drop off thing doesn't get to happen very often because they usually want to talk to you within 24 hours. And we're not able to get that dropped off wherever they are in the world in 24 hours. So then it just becomes providing a lot of information and what we send to them in an email. And we know that most of those clients that are calling us for that are high D personalities, and they don't want to read through pages of our bio. They want market information. They want to know that we're capable and qualified and that we have the time to put their needs first. And so that's what we try to communicate to them. And you don't have a lot of time to do it because they haven't met you before.
Questions? Can I just add something? Since you said you're a new agent, so another bit of information that I always find helpful is when you're like brand new and let's say you were going on a listing appointment. I've heard some agents say, oh, I haven't sold anything. Like, how am I going to convince them to hire me? What you can do, and it's not lying, it's not being dishonest, is that you can use the stats of your office. So you could say that, oh, my office has sold, X number of homes in this area, and speak to that. Because again, if you get a listing, your office wants you to succeed. They don't want you to get that listing and then it expires or you don't get any offers on it. And just really fall back on office stats and team leader, or whoever you can lean on here. So that's a little piece of advice I would say. And I think he even mentioned, wherever you live, work your neighborhood.
My neighborhood is being like 5, 6, 7 agents. I receive emails from them every week.
What's the average price?
Yeah.
What's the average price?
South Brunswick.
Oh, okay, so you're in the luxury market.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not as if you're already part of that
More
community, so it's
than
not as if.
7 agents send email to my house every day. Forget about the texting.
Yeah. But again, they're not you. You may have something to offer that they don't. So don't focus on the 6 or 7. Focus on yourself
And the value you're
and the
gonna bring
value
to the
that you can
table.
bring.
And they may not live in the neighborhood either,
Well,
Yeah,
and that's
exactly,
the other
yeah.
thing.
so.
That's one thing
That's
to
an
say if you're starting, like
Yeah.
to own your own neighborhood, the farm
Yes.
there, it's because. And that's the easiest thing for you to be able to serve too.
Exactly.
And for me, it's just getting expertise in the market and transaction knowledge. I mean, other people might just be confident off the bat, working with whatever price range of a person, but I think in my mind, I've probably started working more luxury once I've had, better expertise for transactions, which I don't think that should be, maybe it's not the best way to think because that could be kind of limiting, but I think that will give you kind of a more well-rounded sense of confidence because the transaction and how you can articulate and explain it to the client. So I think that's helpful as well. You have to project that real confidence and expertise and
Jen, did you have something to add?
The building your business when you're new, I don't know if you have a lot of vacation rentals there, but that is how I built my business because I activated my license right before we were coming into our peak equestrian season here. And yes, I leveraged my background in horses. I did not feel like people were ready to trust me with their multi-million-dollar listings because I had just activated and joined. And there was an instant specific need of seasonal housing for everybody. And that's something I was really familiar with because I had been on the road in rentals for a long time. So I really focused on that and getting everybody that I could into a rental because most of those people became buyers, they became sellers, they started renting an apartment. A few years later, they're renting entire horse farms. Those commissions are typically scaled a bit differently on short-term rentals. So the people are like, oh, it's such a pain in the butt. Don't do rentals. They don't pay. Well, a huge portion of my personal client base came from all of the rentals I did in 2012 to this day.
This
So I
is
just
a
wanted
high price
to
point
point that out.
program here, so makes sense.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that, so thank you. Don't, rule out rentals. And again, I always like to use real life examples. So, 2021, somebody, again, they referred this client to me, so she was looking for a rental for right now. And then that rental quickly, within a month, turned into, she ended up buying a condo that was 580 or something. So had I been, oh, I don't do rentals, I would have lost out on a $500,000 commission. And then she referred me to someone else. So, and I tell you, the referral that came out of that first one, I had 4 transactions in 2021 from that one person, that one rental.
Yes. And there are agents in your market center. I had a very similar experience, Joanne, and there are agents in every market center. We are those agents right at the moment. We can't service all of our rental leads that come in on our rental listings. So for instance, I used to always be in that cubicle in the hallway, like the annoying new agent, and all of the agents that are so busy and can't get to every lead that comes in on the rentals will give you those referral rentals and you will close them and those people will refer you. So you can also loiter around your office and become that person that's willing to help agents out.
Thanks, Jen, for that. Anything else? Questions?
So I know we're all human here, but when you go out to a luxury listing, do you have to go about it a little differently, treat it a little differently, speak to them differently than someone that's not a luxury listing, like a 400,000 or 500,000 listing versus the 1 million plus?
Who wants to take that?
I just find with luxury clients, time is like cut to the chase.
yeah.
I'm not reading a whole, like someone said, I'm not reading a whole deck. Don't send me a bunch of emails, just send me a text. I'll let you know what time I can call you. And it may seem impersonal, but again, if you're, a hedge fund manager, you do not have time to, be inundated with emails. So I'd say just find out what's important to them, find out how they like to communicate, because look, everyone is different, no matter what price point you're buying in. But I always say for that particular group of buyers, time is it's a luxury.
Okay. I mean, I don't go on listing appointments at all, but dealing with them on the inspection side and setting everything up, I would just say involvement. Involvement when the key points of what they're doing. They might want to not know all the little details, but when you have something important, make sure you communicate that to them and make sure that they're involved and they know what's going on. Pretty much, I think that's what just the involvement.
Can I jump in for a mindset? because I hear some questions. The one thing I want to remind you all is that you are the prize, okay? Don't make them the prize. And I think when we make them the prize, we give them the upper hand. So you are the prize and you are just as deserving, capable, and worthy as any other person of earning their business. So believe that you are worth it. And I think that'll change the way that you approach it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because if you don't, then they're not gonna, they'll sense that if you're desperate or you don't value yourself that much, you don't really have anything to offer, and they'll just interview someone else. If they get a sense that, you know.
I think the fact that you're there, I mean,
Right.
that says something that they value. They saw something in you, or you would not be standing right outside the door. I think, like she said, just treat people like people. Just find a way to connect with people. It's just, I don't think you have to treat people with a kid glove, but just, again, it goes back to knowing what's important to them and just treating people, lead with kindness, be nice, be thoughtful, don't be a jerk, don't.
Be you.
Be you, exactly, whatever, whoever you are, just be that
I
person.
don't like you.
I would tailor like the conversation like based on their way of communicating too. If they're like very short to the point, then you get all the key points and, about yourself, what your value proposition is, your marketing. If they're more talkative, then you have to build more of a rapport, be more friendly, talk about yourself, their interest, your interest. Same as I think with any client.
All right, I'm gonna be sensitive to time because it's just a little past 2, so I'm gonna just wrap this up. First and foremost, I have to sorry that Jen and Bill, they had to drop off, they had time crunches, but I will thank them offline for coming and, attending this. Carlo, thank you very much, and Sabrina for the Prosecco and the information you shared today, really, thank you so much. Thank you, the desserts. We're gonna gain a few pounds, but it's okay. The sugar will keep us going. Joanne, thank you very much for being part of our panel. You've been more than generous in the information that you shared. And Alyssa, I'm sorry she's not here, but thank you for the hot lunch.
I appreciate you reaching out.
No,
Yeah,
thank you. And I hope to do business again soon, but if you're up in that North Jersey area and you have clients that you want to send, this is about referral too. This is the start of your network for agents here. So make sure that you exchange cards with our agents today. Bill and Jen are both on social media. I'll get you their information if you want to email them, but it's all about the network. You may have someone going to North Carolina. Bill may have someone coming to New Jersey. You may have golf enthusiasts, equestrians. It just, find those little details about your clients and be able to refer them for that, luxury personal touch. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.